Take your time. It I go over you. Yes,
I go there with you.
Baby fair. Let me see it.
Now you put the sugar for my
father figure.
be on the phone.
And I just say father figure.
And baby,
Father figure.
you make a
Father of two. Father figure.
the little traffic.
Baby fair. What would William typically buy at a baby fair?
Well, in those days, it would be a lot of diapers, a lot of, if you like, fruit-based baby food. We used to buy some small bottles, very expensive. I've forgotten the name. They were eating it by heart.
They were eating it by heart. They still do. They still eat it by heart. They get pieces, fruit pieces, and they put in some yogurt, fresh yogurt kind of.
Yes, baby wipes.
Baby wipes, very important.
Baby wipes.
For those ones.
And then the cream, the balms for the.
Have to put before you pamper.
Yeah.
But William, how old are your two children?
Going to 17 and 13.
And 13.
Yeah,
okay.
17, 13.
So there will still be a
baby
few. Oh yeah, baby father Chepan. There will be a few
he's
products.
Getting to a sanitary pad.
Oh, probably already there. Yes, that's the
Division, the sanitary pad division.
Yeah, that's the age. So sanitary pad,
then cream.
You know, at that age when I was a teenager, I wanted lip gloss. I was only allowed some small mascara and a lip gloss, lip balm, not even gloss, lip balm. So we wanted the earrings, the things you put in your hair, get your hair braided. There's all that going to be there. You want a nice school bag.
You didn't care where the funds were coming from.
Well, mine was to ask and receive. I remember when I was on a New Day sometime last year, we were engaging the children from Talented Kids. And E-Levy was all, all the news. I said, who knows E-Levy? Or Monte? They said, what is that? Listen, theirs is to eat, go on the tablets, ingest some food, go and play, and have a jolly good time. They have no care in the world. Waiting concern.
Waiting concern them.
Oh, at all.
Okay, so you have all of those things. You have some popcorn. You have cotton candy ice cream.
Yes.
For the kids. You have a baby playing area.
We have the grills for those of us with all our teeth formed.
Yes.
Come and chew some tasty kebab.
And it's all through. So you go to the baby fair, Marina Mall, with your family. It's going to be a fun packed weekend, family time. Yeah, I'll bring Obrimpon out to come and see what's going on there. He has to come.
I think he has to do meet and greet. It's a celebrity
we
baby.
We beg you. We want to begin to beg you before it is too late. This weekend is my wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
No, Today is also Anas Arimaya Alance's birthday.
Oh, okay.
We can need a cost of Sanso Bosso.
But let's go to Parliament. 57 minutes after 7 here on 3FM 92.7. The minority yesterday boycotted parliamentary sittings. We are told that some bills, critical bills, will be at risk if they continue with that practice. And the reason is that two of their own are being persecuted in court, not prosecuted, persecuted in court. And that's why they decided to ignore Parliament or abandon Parliament to go to court to support their comrades, as they put it. Listen.
It is sad that after the same people have made their choice and reaffirmed their choice, this Attorney General is going ahead with this political persecution. We see what the future holds.
So, following the boycott by the minority members of the House, sitting lasted for just about 45 minutes. The Speaker, when he came in first, suspended the House for 5 minutes, and then he had to come back again. Well, what transpired today specifically had to do with the laying of papers and also the consideration of some bills and referrals to some committees to handle it. Well, it does appear it's going to go a full haul. Ordinarily, comparing what has transpired today to the past week where the NDC MPs were in the House, they would have been in session for close to about 3 to 4 hours before the House would adjourn. But just in 45 minutes, the House has adjourned.
The rest of the questions on the order paper, I direct that they be rescheduled.
The impact of this action also means that some of the questions that ministers are supposed to answer, especially from members on the minority side, have had to be rescheduled. And this is an agreement that the leadership of the House had with the Speaker. And so some of the ministers were in the House to answer to some of the questions, but those that were specific to the minority MPs, who ordinarily are the ones who ask a lot of the questions on the floor of the House, they have had to be rescheduled. And so it means that the ministers will need to make up time to be able to come back and answer to the questions again. But business of the House, which ordinarily would have had so much work to be done on, well, there's a pause. And if this trend continues with a House that has just about some 4 weeks before the rise, it means that a lot of things will be affected.
It is sad that after the same people have made their choice and reaffirmed their choice, this Attorney General is going ahead with this political persecution. We see what the future holds.
The majority MPs have been responding to this.
It's always good that all the representatives of all the people of Ghana participate in the decision-making processes, and therefore, if they are here, the better. However, if they are not here, just as you've all witnessed, we've not been able to achieve much today, because we would always want to work alongside with them.
Rather unfortunate. I don't know where. They were elected to come and sit in Parliament. They were not elected to be accompanying people to court. Their constituents should take note that today they asked a lot of questions about their educational infrastructure, about their health infrastructure, and about tourism in their various constituencies. But they were not in Parliament to even ask those questions. The ministers were there, the answers were provided, but yet none of them were not in the chamber, in the excuse that they have accompanied somebody to court. I don't know what kind of democracy or parliamentary procedure is this, but we are watching them keenly, and the business of the day is done for now. If we as legislators are making laws and we expect the judiciary to implement it, now we are now telling them that so now Kwesi is above every other Ghanaian, so they should actually call that all cases in court should be dropped, but not of a particular person. Thank you.
92.7 Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
And that was the majority Chief Whip Habib there earlier speaking, but also the minority leader Kaysel Atuforcing, who is also standing trial before the courts. Some cases of the ambulances had this to say.
Speaker, I wish to serve notice. The Speaker, I wish to serve notice that the entire minority group will accompany our colleague to court today and any other day that he is to appear in court. Mr. Speaker, we are solidarizing with our colleague, and we will not participate in the business of the House anytime our colleague is in court, and we will be withdrawing from the chamber after this ceremony if the court processes indeed happens today. So, Speaker, amid persecution, cooperation will certainly suffer. The Speaker, a word to a wise is an assent not.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
Oh. Hey. It's cooking in Parliament. Really, I mean, is this the best way to handle a situation? I mean, to be heard, to register your displeasure. People have been asking that question, that, well, is the minority not overstretching this? Because, yes, there have been calls that the Attorney General should file a nolle prosequi. And it's not just been from the side of the minority or the NDC. The Venerable Ayikwe Otu himself has served as Attorney General. as what do you call it? Eduji put it the other time, when Mr. Dami is going to his office, he sees their photos of his predecessors. He has also called for a nollie prosequi, not just him, many other persons, including also former Attorney General Marietta Berapiopong. They have all called for it. And then he even went a step further to saying, look, listen to your seniors at the bar and do the needful. But the Attorney General is determined and is resolved to go forward with the case in court. Now the minority say, okay, we won't be here to do it. We're going to court to support our colleague. Those who will suffer are us, the Ghanaians, the Ghanaian people, who are represented by 137 constituencies by these members of parliament on the side of the minority. We are the ones who will suffer, because now each time they are in court, and we understand that the court case will be held every single day. So each time they are there in court means that our voices will not be heard in parliament. Is that what we want?
Well, what does that say for the people of Asin North? That each time that their member of parliament is in court, occupied, busy, that they don't have a voice? Is that what we're also saying?
It's not just Asin North.
No, in fact, not even just Asin North.
Yes, it's all others.
All others who
North Tongue, Ablekuma Central, all those constituencies that you have 137 NDC MPs there. For as long as the trial continues, the minority has served notice that they will not be present.
I've been in two minds about this because,
you
of
can
course,
add Santo Kofi Akpafulikpe and Lolobi to it. They also don't have representation.
They also don't have representation. We know that a number of issues are discussed on the floor of Parliament. Not every single sitting will result in some type of voting, so that the numbers are not always a prime factor. But of course, the House has to be quorate in order for House proceedings to continue. So that's on the one hand. Solidarity is good, but at what expense? Okay, you say we're standing firm with the people of Asin North and other constituencies where the MPs are having to go to court for one reason or another. But, well, you also leave your constituents hanging. You leave the business of the House hanging. I don't know. The Daily Guide couched it as blackmail. I don't know if others...
Of who to who?
The MPs blackmailing, emotional blackmail, if you will, in order for this case to be dropped against, yes, the MP of Asin North. Could one see it as such? Emotional blackmail on the part of our minority MPs to get their way, although legal proceedings are in place. Legal proceedings have been in place. There's nothing illegal going on. I don't know.
William.
Yeah, I mean, the Attorney General is saying that we should minimize the commentary on the case, or if you like, the cases that involve the political actors. But even for me, it's a louder statement. If the MPs decide that anytime their colleague goes to court,
they will not appear.
For me, it's a louder statement that anybody can make. So, the Attorney General statement, well, whatever it is, judges, some of them have actually pleaded. The Domahini was pleading with the Attorney General and the President of the Republic to see if there's any way they can consider, filing a nollie prosequi. That's number one. Number two, these MPs who are working out and following their colleagues or colleague to court, are they also going to sit out of committee meetings? Is it something that I haven't heard them say? Because working out of the chamber will mean that they won't be available to vote on matters. Now, what we need to understand is that if the Parliament is able to get a quorum and they can vote, how is it going to turn out? So all these ramifications would have to be, examined and see how we are going to lose or miss as they are out following their colleagues in courts. I mean, it's not a very good thing for us, especially when we have a hung parliament.
Yeah,
we need the numbers to get business of the day running, and if they are going to work out, and there are contracts that have to be signed to get things on the ground for developments to go on around the country, because Parliament has a lot to do in financial administration of the Republic.
Right.
So these are some of the things that I see as concerning. So the earlier they reconsider the decision or whatever action that they will take to resolve the matter, I mean, the better for all of us. Yeah.
I don't know what the people will be thinking of their MPs. And you see the majority chief whip, Habib, he kept saying that Deputy Majority Chief Whip Habib, he kept mentioning that the constituents should take note. what is the interest of the constituent at this time? Because if you measure the temperature in the country, which the Domahine, pointed us to, the temperature, the fact that we need to move on, we have had our day in Asin North and all of that. Well, the Attorney General himself said we should be measured in what we say. But as of last year, when he knew that the matter was in court, he wasn't measured in what he was saying. And it's there in black and white. So
we saw that.
He started it.
Yeah. President
continued it. John Mahama got involved. Then all the others. And majority of the people who have spoken are lawyers.
That's right.
So if Habib is asking the constituents to take note, is he by extension also asking the constituents to take note of all the statements that have been made and a certain direction which the matter is pointing? Because the people who are speaking on the side of the NDC are suggesting that, look, the man is not being prosecuted, he's being persecuted. You get it?
That's right.
There are those who are making the argument that, look, let sleeping dogs lie, leave it. We are not talking emotions, we are not talking law, we're just saying, look at the situation in which we find ourselves and let this go away. And then there are those who say, okay, let's go to the court. Let the matter run its full length. Let us use that as precedence so that we test the law and then have a final decision on it so that everybody is clear.
And even for the MP himself, Jachi Kwesi, then at least you were once accused, charged, and now whatever the outcome is, either acquitted or then further whatever, sentenced or convicted. At least then him as well, he can have it on record that he was either acquitted or then formally given a conviction, if you will. I think that will also inure to his benefit to finally have this matter cleared one way or the other. But interesting statement there by the Deputy Chief, Majority Chief Whip. Did he have that same feeling or those same sentiments when over 80 plus initially MPs said they were representing their constituents in wanting the finance minister out? When they did a U-turn, did he ask their constituents to take a look, to take note?
Well, I did that on his behalf. I asked the constituents to take, and I still stand by that look, if this parliament ends or before the elections and Mr. Furiata is still at post, because they spoke about two people, Charles Eduboahin and Kanu Furiata, and then they said that their constituents had asked them to come and make that representation on their behalf, and that they were not going to participate in the reading and debate of the budget, not the approval. Even to read and debate it, they will not be part, and then the approval. We were called into a meeting, they made compromises, and then they went back. Now we have read the budget, we have debated the budget, we have approved the budget. The other caveat was the IMF deal. We have finished the IMF deal. We have received the first package of the IMF deal. So if they are men really of their words, and at some point it was not just 81, it was the whole majority caucus that said, right, we want him out. That includes him, Habib. So your question is apt.
Yes.
The constituents must pay attention to that as well. So if he's asking for attention to be paid here, that's a good call. But attention must also be paid here. And I would wish that all the persons who come and say, we came to say this on your behalf as our constituents, if they decide to do otherwise, the people down there should punish them by voting them out and not let them represent them, because they are obviously there to do their bidding and their party's bidding, not the bidding of the constituents. Because when you become an MP, you are no longer an MP on behalf of your party. You are a member of parliament representing both the NDC, MPP, CPP, PPP, whatever,
everybody
PP, in the constituency.
Those who don't belong to party.
You are the father of the constituency. Right. So if you now would come to the constituents to say, I listened to you, and these are your sentiments. I took it to parliament and I made a call, and I was called into a party caucus, and they say, look at the party, because JFK wrote and said they should consider the party and the president and blah blah blah. So it was party. Now I am in the constituency. I don't belong to your party. I don't belong to any party. Then you come and take a decision on my behalf that is in the interest of your party, not in the interest of my constituency. I should take note of you too.
Definitely. That's why I thought it's a bit of a hypocritical one to ask the constituents to look at what is going on. Did he have that same feeling when it was his turn and he was going contrary to what they said was the a majority of the constituents' feelings, views, and concerns? No. So one rule cannot apply for one and not apply to the other. They should now start to think about that. On one hand, yes, think about your constituents. When it comes to you, you think about your party. Let's be real. Be for real.
Sometimes for the MPs, it's a hard ball to kick.
That's right.
They also got to be MPs of the constituency and to work for the constituents because of the platform that was offered by the party. And so when the party whip system gets
sometimes even the money, the finances, everything.
So for them, it's that's why we haven't had anything from that 88 or 89 group or whatever number that came to make that early morning press conference. Sometimes you see the politics on the ground is tricky,
Very much so.
Especially when they have to stand on the platform of a political party to get to represent the people. The party also has interest. Even when sometimes the national interest is that high. We've heard parties saying that party Yeska.
Yes.
So it takes a lot of conviction, and for anybody to say, look, despite what the party is saying, despite what the people are saying, let's look at the national interest, let's look at the constituency interest. So those discussions will go on, but at the end of the day, it is the MP who is in the soup and who knows how hot it is. So
that's right.
Well, anyway, Parliament is boiling. Speaker obviously is not happy. He gave an opportunity for the House to go on recess a couple of times just to get them to have an amicable solution on the back end. But it does appear that the minority is resolute in their decision not to be part of the citizen, and that could go a long way to hurt government business, particularly because now it is 137 plus one. And I've always said that, look, if Speaker Bagbin is not available, and then say a Joe Wise of Bekwai or Anisiama of Fomina takes the seat as speaker, because those are deputy speakers. If they take the seat, then we have now a proper hung parliament, 137. What decisions could possibly be? Because you need a simple majority. Is 137 enough to be called simple majority? That's the question. And for all those decisions that must be taken, if this matter lingers on for a very, very long time, we can imagine how much it's going to cost us. The electricity bills will still be paid for Parliament. All the water bills will be paid for Parliament. The parliamentarians will continue to draw their salaries and their allowances and whatever is due them. They will continue to... So the system, the whole place will be running, but really, what will we be benefiting as a people? I think it's a critical question that must be answered by Parliament. They must come and answer that question to the people, because they are not there on their own volition. They are there representing all of us. And once you're representing me, you have to do what inures to my benefit. You cannot be doing things as if it is your private property that has been bequeathed to you by an uncle and you are managing it the way you want. You cannot.
Unfortunately, the system in Ghana doesn't work as pertains elsewhere, where parliamentarians are constantly in touch with their constituents. They actually visit them in their homes. They have town hall meetings, and they know that the people are watching them closely. And if they slip, they'll be voted out. There's sometimes some jurisdictions even have midterm elections, where if you are not too careful, you go. So the system will run also give the politicians a certain leeway to do what they like. It's unfortunate that those who are able to look at things and take decisions based on critical analysis of situations, maybe the numbers are increasing. That's why we even have 137. But we still have people who vote just because of where they come from. This man is so and so I vote for him, that kind of thing. But when we get to a situation where the citizens are voting on what is on the ground and what is in it for them, the MPs will not be behaving the way they are behaving.
I know that the members of Parliament are supposed to hold town hall meetings. The MCs, DCs are also supposed to hold town hall meetings. In fact, the reason they go on recess is for them to engage their constituents and then come back with the feelings and the will of the people to be represented in Parliament. DCs are supposed to also have town hall meetings at least twice in a year, so that they hear from them. It even trickles down to members of the assembly. It's in the Local Government Act 936. It's there.
But you and I know what happens. When they are recess, they go home and there's outdooring, funeral, and then when they go, they get donations. So they are patronizing the people anyway.
Yeah.
But so that's where they even increase their outlook. They increase their power by giving donations here and there.
Yeah.
1 week they are there, funeral they are there. Somebody is naming their child, they are there. So those are the things. That's what I'm saying, that it is important that we look at this 137 and let the people know that we are becoming more and more discerning. And we're just hoping that the 2024 election will paint a better and brighter picture in respect of how the Ghanaian electorate is getting very, very enlightening and discerning in respect of what they expect from their MPs. Because now they are following their colleagues to parliament, into courts. Well, as we are asking, what is the need for the constituents? And then the Attorney General is also pushing the case. What is the need for the state? Are we just establishing the law, making the law solid, or we are pushing the national development agenda, or we are pushing democratic representation? So what are we pushing? So all those discussions would have to come in for the leaders of the nation, the Attorney General, the President of the Republic, to look at and not attempt to gag us by saying that we can't comment on the matter. If I comment on the matter and I've looked at the merits or demerits of it, and you think that I've prejudged the case and I'm for court, take me to court. But it is not in your place to come and tell me that I can't comment on the matter.
But then can that be done? Because see, the leader of the bar, who is the Attorney General, has done that.
Chief,
the president of the Republic,
yes,
who is the first gentleman of the land,
yes,
an officer of the court, who swore to protect the Constitution, has done that.
Yes, when the
former president of the Republic, John Mahama, he has also done that.
So when the
Aikwe Otu, former AG, has done that.
Yes,
Marietta Brewer-Pierpont, former AG,
has spoken on the matter, and the High Court judge has spoken on the matter.
So
and the chief at that.
So why am I being
so that's the matter? See, when he did well, and anytime he does well, we sit on this show and praise him.
Right
now, if he thinks that the president of the Republic is among those who have been making the comments, he's his boss, and for which reason he can't talk to him, he should resign.
Yes,
he should resign.
That would be a bold statement.
Yeah, just a look. Yeah. The president who is supposed to be my boss, who is supposed to be protecting the law, is seen as saying things or making comments on the matter in court, which I think is prejudging the case, and I don't think it's good for me. So I've resigned. Okay. And we said that we're a big boy, but not come and try to gag us. As for that, it won't happen.
It won't happen. Let's go on a phone line now and speak with Dr. Ike Tando. He is a lecturer at the Faculty of Public Relations, Advertising and Marketing at Unimac GIJ. He's a brand communication strategist as well. Doc, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you, Hughes. Good morning.
Morning, sir. Now, we're looking at branding this morning, and we're looking at Parliament today and the brand Parliament, and then the constituents within Parliament, i.e. the majority and the minority. First, let's begin with Parliament. We all assumed that with the hung Parliament, we're going to have a different image of Parliament where the people will be better served. Is that happening?
Thank you very much, Hughes. And if you were a prophet, I would say that I'll always come to you for prayers. Because yesterday I was having a conversation with a class, in an international class I teach, and somebody asked me this similar question. And I happen to be a columnist there's a parliamentary magazine that Parliament of Ghana publishes, and I happen to write a column on international relations and democracy in that paper. And in that paper, I was arguing that it's quite interesting that now we have 137, and looking at the history of our parliamentarians and the House itself, what kind of positioning, if you like, branding, are we projecting, not only to Ghanaians, not only to parliamentarians, not only to constituencies, but to the international community, so that we can solidify our democracy? So my argument was that with some of these happenings and the narratives and the conversations that are, and then how politicized everything about our parliamentary discussions or discourse has been, it will be very difficult for us to put our hands up and say, yes, we are building or we are communicating a democratic brand of that party, of that distinguished or reputable house. I'm sorry to say that the narratives are not good enough for any of us or those of us in that space to be able to write and project and say, yes, we have come of age, our democracy is solid, backed by a house that is not partisan, that is not, do not add anything politics to every conversation, but they are there to pass laws and they are there to also enhance the democratic standing of our dear country, Ghana.
Now, the NDC side in the House, that's the minority side, they are in firm support of one of their own, James Gyakye Quayson, who is standing trial before the court. He recently won a by-election in Asin North. And they say up until the time that the matter will be done and dusted with, they will continue to abandon Parliament and go and support their colleague in the court. Again, what does that say to you about the brand NDC going ahead into the 2024 election, especially when the Deputy Majority Chief Whip is asking that the people look at the brand?
Definitely, in political marketing, political communication, if you want to really make a move, you want to make a move that will communicate something to your followers, that will communicate something to your fans. So what they are trying to do is that they are trying to now communicate a brand that is resolute, a brand that is united, a brand that wants to stick together and then fight for a cause. So if I want to enter the minds of the NDC, that's what I think that they want to communicate, that we are united, we are solid, we want to fight together and then take power back to our political party. So for them, for brand NDC, the narrative is good for them because they are clear on what they want to communicate. They are clear to make sure that the supporters see them as resolute, as resilient. So for them, I think they are rightly on course. But to the larger picture, for my introductory comment, the greater picture of how are we projecting Ghana as a house of law, as a house that is trying to deepen democracy and then trying to make sure that our international diplomacy and international relationships are kept on the high. That is where I find some shortcomings from that, and if this thing should prolong.
Let's look at the side of the NPP as well, the majority. The outcome of the case in court will rub off them, especially giving the voices that have spoken and called for a no case, a nolli prosequi to be filed by the Attorney General, who has refused to listen up until now. It will rub off the brand of the NPP going into the 2024 elections. Do you see a positive rub-off or a negative rub-off?
Thank you very much. And I put a post on my Facebook, I think 3 days ago, and I was talking about how brands want to protect their image. It is not always the case that when you backtrack, it means that you are showing weakness or you are showing that you didn't know what to do. That is why we do evaluation. That is why we want to look at public opinion. We want to look at public sentiment, and we want to look at the greater good. So it's not only, that's one of the issues I had with, especially those who are in my space, the political commentators. Everything must be defended. Everything must be right. No. Showing that we got it wrong, it's also a sign of maturity. It's also, I'm not saying that I am not a legal person, and I was listening with your earlier speaker. I was trying to tell people should not comment, it's in court. So I don't want to find myself in the courtroom. But what I'm trying to say is that generally, I'm looking at communication broadly and then political stance and then how to project a brand. If you go back and you evaluate a move that your whole society or your whole constituent decided to do, but upon reflection, upon the greater good, upon public sentiment, upon public outcry, you come out to say that based on factors A, B, C, D, we think that to ensure a greater good, we want to chart a different course rather than the earlier standard we have taken. It doesn't show that you are a weak brand. It doesn't depict that your brand is defect. It rather communicates a brand that is listening. It rather projects a brand that always want to invite other people in, want to listen. And it could even come out to your political advantage because they will see you as a listening government, as we say it in Ghana. So for me, if the Attorney General with a stance, and I will issue a disclaimer again, I am not a law expert and I don't want to pretend to be a law expert, but if that looking at the public sentiment, and then if it is something that will not injure any legal standings, I think that we can make sure that we all come forward a bit. We all sacrifice a bit to make sure that we have a healthy parliament going on, and that the image of parliament is also restored.
The battle lines for 2024 have been drawn. The MPP wants to break the 8. They are in the run-up to getting a flag bearer in November this year, also to choose their respective parliamentary candidates. Their opponents on the other side have gone through that process already. The argument has been that once the NDC has completed that part of the political process, they stand a better chance to be united, to forge a better campaign, and to run ahead while the MPP tries to pick the pieces post the internal primaries, and also to then tag along and run to the very top. With the present happenings and all the branding issues that you have discussed this morning, would you say that will also have an effect on the 2024 election, how the people will perceive brand NDC and brand MPP?
What your earlier comment that the NDC have come out with Mahama, everybody is reuniting against with Mahama, and then making sure that they push brand Mahama. That is good. That has some kind of advantage for brand NDC, which is good. Now nobody is talking against each other. We are all united. We are all trying to make sure that we make brand Mahama stronger, brand NDC stronger, and they're more appealing to the electorate. That is a plus for them. What is happening at the MPP is that now they are still struggling. I think they had to push their conference to a later date. I think if you remember, they had to postpone, and all that. And then some of their constituents were not in agreement of that, because they were also reasoning like what we are reasoning this morning, that if they had done it a bit earlier and now all the dust are settled and they are all united against, they have not come to support the person that they have elected. This time around, it could have also had a very positive influence for them, because they are going with one messaging, one strategy, one united force. But what I'm worried about for brand MPP is that it is a bit late in the day because they had to postpone. But the narrative that are coming up from the contestants is a bit worrying. And you are making, at the end of the day, what is going to happen is that the person who will win will become a bit weaker, because others are pointing holes to everybody. So they are saying, is that Kennedy Japan, is that Alain Chamate, is that. So at the end of the day, if I were in the NDC, I'll be happy, and I'll pray that, okay, they should be angry the more, and they should throw more punches at each other the more, because you are playing to my advantage. The narratives are going to my advantage. You are giving me more talking points to come up with. So for me, in that aspect, I think that the communicators, the brand, those who are managing the entire communication arm of MPP and then their communication should really look at some of the narratives. But yet, I understand some of these things are very difficult. I was speaking to somebody privately on this who is a known MPP member, and I was explaining some of these comments, and he was saying, they are political actors and it's very difficult for them. And I said, what happens to your code of conduct as a political party? Because at the end of the day, it's going to have a negative effect on the entire brand and the person who will eventually come up as the winner. Because now they are throwing salvo, they are bringing their own dirty secrets, they are highlighting the weaknesses of all the contestants. So at the end of the day, if I were a political strategist or in the political communication team of the NDC, I'll be praying that they should do that the more. I'll be very, very alert to make sure that I record, I table down everything that they are saying, and I use that to my political messaging strategy to fight against the person who lead the MPP and the MPP as a political party itself.
Doc, now let's look at the constituents, and the brands would obviously be positioned or will start the positioning in their minds now. They already have an understanding of what the brands represent or have represented in the past, but the activities leading up to the major election in 2024 would also further shape what they think of the brands in their minds. For those who are neither MPP nor NDC, those who are called the silent majority, the deciders in the middle, what will all of this mean to them in trying to take a decision? I.e., one, you had members of parliament on the side of the majority come to say, we have consulted with our constituents. They say we should come and tell you, Mr. President, that we don't like Ken Ofori-Atta, we don't like Charles Edubwahin, they must go. Charles Eduboahin goes, Ken Ofori-Atta stays, but there's a caveat that he should go through the budget reading, approval, get an IMF deal, and then we can talk about it. All of that has been done, but he's still at post. Now, on the side of the NDC, they have not tabled any of these issues. They have also wanted Ken Ofori-Atta to go, but they have not come back to speak on it after that vote of censure, hit the rocks. But now they are showing more solidarity to a member of parliament within their caucus as against the will of those who may not be NDC MPP, who are just in the constituency and they just want representation. How should this affect the thinking and positioning of both brands in the minds of the voter who doesn't belong to any of these parties?
Thank you very much, and that's a very good question. I think what both parties are failing to do is majority of both parties are not really investing a lot of time and effort in social listening. They are playing to what they feel. And I've always said that when you want to position a brand in the minds of the, let me use the word, ordinary Ghanaian or the ordinary voter, it's not about how you feel, it's about how they feel. Because at the end of the day, you don't measure the success of a brand with your spectacle. The success of a wealthy brand or an appealing brand lies in the hands and the minds of the people who are going to vote for you, people who are already made their mind or not. So if you act according to your feel, that everybody is calling for, the finance minister, everybody is calling out for this person or that person, and then you come out as the leader of your party now, and you say that, okay, what everybody has said, for me, I don't see it that way. I wanted some radio commentary that our president has been on one radio station somewhere, I think in Sunyani or something, saying that he thinks is excellent. He scored excellent. And I was asking myself that who measures that kind of perception? Is it the person who is playing the game or the people who are dancing to the beat? And when you look at any branding literature, perceptions about brands are not measured by those who are playing the drum, but they are measured by those who are dancing to the tune of the drum. So I find it a bit worrying when political actors, but power, as President Kofor said, power has a very nice way of deceiving people.
Power can trick you.
It can really trick you. It has a nice way of making you feel that you can tell him to evaporate from the studio and go to the mat, and then he will go. That's how sometimes power can make you think. But in reality, you cannot say that he's just by the power and authority vacates and then move to mass and he move. It's not possible. But once you have power, you might think you can do that. So that is what I think that both parties should watch out for. And I think that their communications arms, their research arms, should look at a lot of public opinion surveys to listen to what the public are thinking, to listen to what they want, what the public want, what the voters want, what you think what you mentioned as the silent majority, what they are thinking. And I'm a bit worried whether they even do that in the first place. And then if they do that, do they really listening to those research results, or they act according to what they feel or what they want? That is why I'll quote my very good friend and somebody I personally worked with so many years ago, Sir John, says fear delegates.
That's right.
And it's so true, because you have to fear delegates because you are not in their minds. Most politicians are thinking and they are acting according to what they feel, what they know, but they are not acting according to what the power breakers think or what they know or what they perceive or what they are feeling. That's why majority of them get it wrong. So I believe that, to repeat my own words, NDC want to position themselves as a solid, resolute, united, stronger brand this time around. That we are united. This is our cause. Everybody must align with our cause. That is the kind of position that they want to do now. At the other side, the MPP are also saying, okay, fine, we think we are in good position. We think we are pursuing what we think the Ghanaian voters are happy about. So we should continue to go on that road. But my question is that, who is the assessor? Should the MPP be the assessor or the NDC be the assessor? And if you ask me, I would say that the assessor is neither of them. The assessors are you and I, Hughes, who are going to vote, or Kwesi Tum, who is in Kaolitum in the central region, who have not decided yet, but they are watching. Oh, why is everybody saying that drop this case?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know the legal implication, but why is it that you are not dropping? Aside everybody crying, aside everybody thinking, reasoning that, okay, fine, why is it that you are also leaving your job as a parliamentarian and then going to court whilst we have elected you there. So all these variables are going to play in the minds of the people who are not decided, who are thinking that, okay, fine. So at the end of the day, when they make their judgment and they see that you did not act in their best interest, you did not act according to their feelings and their emotions, then definitely you are not going to get their vote.
Finally, you have said that the assessors will be the people, the electorate.
Yes.
Is the electorate well equipped to make that decision in terms of quality over quantity, especially now that we have monetocracy running around us? You have the most popular person, not necessarily the most qualified, leading and all of that, and getting into parliament to represent people. I mean, that sometimes you look at the candidates that has been put there, and you look at the person who is going to represent the people in parliament, and you ask how the electorates arrived at that decision when they had quality material who have actually showed working in the past and decided that they would be ignored so that they can choose these ones. Are the electorates properly equipped?
Yes, I would have said no if you have asked me this question 2 months ago. But with the recent election result of this by-election, my opinion and my perception are changing. That now we cannot take the electorate for granted. We can't take the assessors for granted and think that this is the popular view. This is the popular person. This is the big man. But at the end of the day, I don't have any evidence, but I saw some people on social media flying 200 Ghana cedis, showing some kind of incentive that we're giving them. But in one of the things that I'm doing a paper, so I was just tabling all of those down to as part of my data gathering, and I saw somebody saying that they even did a song, and I found it very funny that they are doing Sikayedi, but those kind of narratives that they were singing. So it is telling you that you can push in the money, but now the electorates are becoming wiser. They are becoming more discerning, and they are also trying to look at their immediate challenges. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, or even 3 months ago, they will look at how you will be able to convince them with some of these freebies and then rules and stuff like that. But this by-elections have taught us that if I were a politician, I would be afraid. If I were a politician, I want to go down there and sit down that we cannot take the assessors for granted. We need to do more. Although education is not about what you and I used would know about our paper qualification and stuff like that. But now, our uncles and our friends in Banco, my village, are also becoming sensitive because it has become life and death matter. People are looking at their livelihood. I was in a conversation this morning with one person, and he's telling me that the school fees, he has a 2-year-old child, and is going to pay school. They vacated for only 3 days or 4 days. They have asked to come back home, and they are paying 1,700 Ghana cedis. This is in Asante region. This is not a school in Accra. This is not a school in East Legon. It's just a small school, and you have to pay 1,700. So this person is not looking at how popular, excuse my language, Japan is. This person is not looking at how popular Baumia is or Mahama is, but this person is looking at how can I get 1,700 Ghana cedis to go and pay my 2-year-old child school fees. These are the sensitive issues. These are the things that people are going to look at and then vote. So popularity contests are becoming the things of the past, and then monetizing elections are also becoming the things of the past. They will take it, but they will not vote for you. If you can take lessons from the just ended by elections, I think politicians would have to readjust their strategies and then readjust how they think they can take elections for granted.
Thank you, Dr. Ike Tando. He is a branch communication expert. He's also a lecturer at Unimac GIJ and also my colleague at IPR. Doc, thank you so much indeed for your time this morning.
Thank you, Jules. Let's meet for our usual drinks.
I hear you, sir.
Later in the door.
I hear you, sir. I hear you, sir. Thank you very much. 22 minutes after 8. Helen, what's that look? What's that look on your face?
I'm just curious. This usual
usual
arrangement.
What is that look on your face?
What are you gentlemen drinking?
When people smoke peace pipe, do you ask them what is inside the pipe? You ask peace. There's peace inside the pipe.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's okay. It's good to be curious.
It sounded coded.
Yeah, it's a coded language.
And if you look at the opening statement quoted from our illustrious J.B. Dankwa, you'll see that right from way back, our DNA was to come and discharge a duty to this nation, to bring the nation